Outdoor tent scale seems to be making a comeback, with the second round of the Outdoor National Series from Dade Concepts being over at Adrenaline, and many different RC tracks being more open to the idea of running tent scale outdoors. Now would be a good time to talk about setting up your current tent scale vehicles for outdoor tracks. Now before we begin, it's important to note that I'm not really a setup savant. All I can really do is observe and ask what is commonly used in outdoor setups for various cars, and what works for them. Now, you could go to those setups on Pettit RC or So Dialed and just copy what the pros have on their cars, but firstly, that's no fun. And secondly, what works for a pro won't work for you. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video is Southern Speed RC. Southern Speed RC is an RC distributor based in the southeast of the United States, which pretty much carries any RC brand you can think of, from electronics like Hobbywing, Tekin, and Nitro Pro, to tire brands like Raw Speed, J Concepts, and all other things you can think of. The website is still under construction, but if you'd like to make an order on what I have put up on the site now, be sure to check out southernspeedrc.com and let them know that Roach sent you. That's southernspeedrc.com. With that out of the way, why don't we begin? Let's go over the tire situation first, as I think that's the most important of the whole outdoor equation. Unlike indoor racing, where tires you use stays consistent throughout the year on carpet, astroturf, and sealed dirt, on outdoor racing there's generally a lot of thought that goes into choosing the best tire for a specific situation, just like an 8th scale. Unlike an 8th scale though, I think that window for generally good running is much narrower than an 8th scale, specifically for two-wheel drive vehicles. When the track is really loamy and doesn't have a lot of grip, going with a tire that has a decent bit of space between the lugs, or is good at clearing out caked up dirt like the Proline Blockade or J Concepts Goosebumps is a good idea. If the track is a bit dusty and dry, but doesn't have a really hard layer underneath, there are a few different tires you can go with, but their classic standby is probably going to be something like a Hole Shot, Double D, or Mini Pin. When the track has minimal dust and is a bit damp, going with a tire that like this Sprinter here, or basically a Reflex in a different name, is also a good idea. The last tire types can be used sort of interchangeably, those being a bar style tire like the Double Bar from J Concepts or these Radars from Raw Speed, or a dense pin style tire like a Rehab from J Concepts will work when the track is dry and abrasive. It's important to note that in some races like the ONS series going on right now, bar tires are straight up banned, so take that into account when purchasing tires and bringing them with you to various tracks and events. Of course, you also have to worry about tire compounds when it comes to racing in 10th scale just like an 8th scale. You don't want to go with a compound that's too hard as you won't have enough traction, but if you go with a compound that's too soft, the car may feel unstable. This is a skill that comes with experience, but a good way to tell when you should be running a softer or harder compound of tire is by looking at the temperature of not the air but of the track itself. If it's kind of hot like in the mid 70s or higher and the sun is baking down on it, it may be time to run a harder compound, especially if the line is clean and abrasive. If it's cool and the sun is not out, or it's just cool in general, it may be time for a soft compound. The last thing about tires for 10 scale outdoor vehicles regards two-wheel drive vehicles specifically. Some tires companies like JC or J Concepts will make ribbed front tires for two-wheel drive vehicles. I have these on my two-wheel drive short course truck and they work quite well in most circumstances, even higher grip ones. Nothing more really to say here, just something to take into account. Next up we have the actual setup of your 10 scale vehicle. Let's begin with 10 scale 4-wheel drive buggy, otherwise known as Wheeler. This class is probably the easiest to make into an outdoor car by virtue of it being 4-wheel drive in the first place. That doesn't mean we don't have much to change though. The first thing we have to look at is our diff fluids. The diff fluids on an outdoor dirt car, or my outdoor dirt car, can be considered very light by 4-wheel drive buggy standards. I tend to run 10k in the front, 7k in the rear, and 80k in the center. Keep in mind this is with the LTC gear set all the way around for the internal gears on the B84 from Team Associated. If you think you can make a slipper clutch work on loose outdoor dirt, I wish you the very best. I think these diff fluids are a little bit light for the higher grip outdoor scenarios like you're seeing here, but for lower grip situations like earlier in the day at this very track, or if the sun isn't shining, I think this is a decent enough starting point, at least for the B84. One good thing about pretty much all 4-wheel drive buggies being almost the same in design is that setup principles can carry over from car to car. This is one of those rare scenarios where looking at what different higher level drivers can actually help you, so if you're running literally any other 4-wheel drive buggy, like an XB4 from X-Ray, 22X4 from Losi, or Cat PB from Schumacher, be sure to ask around either your local club or some more experienced drivers to see what diff oils you should run for your particular track. This also extends somewhat to your shock package as well, as there isn't really a whole lot of information out there for outdoor racing to modern 10-scale vehicles. Once again though, going a bit softer in your springs and shock oil will help you in creating more traction. As for ride height, I can't really give you a definitive number for each class, as that can change from track to track. How much traction you have, how bumpy it is, and the size of the jumps can also affect how low or high you want your ride height to be. Again, it really depends on which class you're running, so if you're going to an outdoor event, be sure to ask someone running your chassis, be it a local fast guy or a pro level driver. Of course, there's also the sway bar situation as well. If you look at different outdoor setups, you'll see some cars running extra thin sway bars or even no sway bars at all. This is especially common in two-wheel drive classes, where you want those classes to roll almost as much as possible. Speaking of two-wheel drive vehicles, you also have the question of the differential. The two-wheel drive vehicles that run on very low grip tend to never run a gear diff. Be it 2 or 4 gear, doesn't matter, neither are used 99% of the time. Instead, what they use is this, a ball differential. Ball diffs are usually included in dirt version of the particular two-wheel drive vehicles. For example, if you buy a dirt version of the two-wheel drive B7 4.1 from Team Associated, the ball diff will be included instead of the gear diff. Same thing for the dirt version of the XB2 from X-Ray, the dirt version of the LD3 from Schumacher, and the dirt version of the 22X TLR. The ball diff was actually designed by Schumacher specifically for the two 10-scale vehicles. Now, I'm not going to explain exactly how a ball diff works, as I might have to spend a lot of time to do so. All you really need to do is, due to the mechanical bind, ball diffs generate a lot more grip on loose surfaces compared to gear diffs. The only problem is that ball diffs usually require more involved maintenance than gear diffs, and the higher grip you run on, the faster the ball diff will deteriorate. When I did this video, I also needed some general setup advice from someone who races on outdoor dirt very often. That person ended up being Hunter King. He's one of the more experienced outdoor 10-scale drivers here in the United States, mostly because he frequents B&T Raceway in Crestview, Florida, which is a 10-scale sized track that runs 10-scale cars outdoors. I asked him what one should do to their car to change from an indoor 10-scale setup to an outdoor 10-scale setup. This is what he had to say. It really depends on what type of dirt you're on, how it grooves up, and the temperature, but to keep it simple, we'll say we're on a 70-degree day and a wet, fluffy track. I'd probably be 2, sometimes even 3 steps softer on the spring. That's the biggest place where you'll notice a difference for the car. The rest of the shock package depends on whether or not you need a 2-hole or 3-hole piston. Also, it's where you have the weight placed in your car. For example, moving the servo backwards way past where it normally would be mounted to move a lot of the weight front to back, also getting the rear arms further forward for overall grip, and to boost some of the transmission weight over the rear of the car, kind of mimicking a rear motor car. When do you go with a 2-hole piston rather than a 3-hole piston, and vice versa? It all depends on the condition of the track surface. The best time is when it's naturally not smooth or when the track starts to develop a lot of bumps. A 3-hole setup will help get it through the bumps better. You probably normally want to run a 2-hole setup with softer oil and spring as long as the track is smoother and has grip. You'll have more pack, so the car will land better and corner faster. Any hop-ups to worry about? I try to run titanium screws when I can, but honestly just keeping up with regular maintenance after race day and keeping the cars in a climate-controlled room will make sure the screws don't rust. I just use simple green. I've known others to use WD-40 as well. Not my preferred way, only because I don't like having greasy fingers. And those are some of the ways you can make your 10-scale race vehicle outdoor race ready. I hope to see some of you guys at B&T this coming July for ONS. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, hype the video, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Also, if you want to support me another way, you can become a channel member or patron. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank my active patrons and channel members, Michael Williams, Dave Armstrong, Rob Bedingfield, Caden Merks, Kean Petrie, Shane T. Ruth, Gable Barber, Freeman Racing Team, William Miller, Claymore RC, Brian G., Maureen Armini, Skylar Chase Nichols, James Martley, and especially Morrison Wad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.